This is BBC One. And now our Wednesday matinee with Hugh Burden and John Moffat in A.G. MacDonald's account of the cricket match.
No one need be afraid that this is going to be another war film. After this first sequence, there will be no terrifying descriptions of the effect of a chlorine gas cloud on a party of nuns in a bombarded manor. No long subjective accounts of the visions of a man during the last few split seconds of his life. No profound moralizings on the inscrutability of a divine omnipotence which creates the rose and the bayonet. In a word, after this there will be, to borrow the name of an ardent society of left-wing pacifists in the 30s, no more war. Nevertheless, the events which follow had their real origin in a conversation which took place between two artillerymen on the Western Front in the beginning of October 1917.
I don't know. We had the English subaltern once in our battle used to run out and extinguish fires in ammunition dumps.
You know what?
Put out fires in shell dumps.
Whatever for?
Well, they said that shells cost £5 each and it was everyone's duty to save government money.
And where's he buried?
The little cemetery at the back of Blommertown.
I know it. Why do the English always laugh when Aberdeen is mentioned?
Heaven knows. Why do they have a Welsh Prime Minister and a Scotch commander?
Scotch.
Oh, sorry. A Scottish Commander-in-Chief and a Scottish First Sea Lord of the Admiralty and think it's funny.
But why do the English always pretend that...
Oh, for heaven's sake, this is a private man. Here, have a drop of Scotch. Oh, I beg your pardon. A drop of Scotch. Or Scottish. Well, I'm a publisher by profession. The more I see of the Englishman as a businessman or a literary man, the more bewildered I become.
I think they're rather fascinating.
Oh, they're fascinating, all right. I don't understand them. Hell, now we're off.
The wires are down. One of you have to run for it.
Oh, right. Will it cost? Right, you call. Bloody hell.
I'd like to write a book about them someday.
It's a book that wants writing. You look me up when this bloody war's over, and we'll discuss it.
Some years later, having finally recovered from shell shock, I came to London believing that only there could I seriously begin my career as a writer. And, despite the passage of time, my companion from the trenches was as good as his word.
A letter of introduction to Mr. Hodge. And I'm sure he'll look after you. You've worked very good, my boy, and I wish you the very best of luck.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bates.
Goodbye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
The letter of introduction he gave me took me to the editor of a small but very influential literary weekly. He was considered one of the first poets in the land, the centre of what was doubtless a brilliant group of poets and essayists, and I felt sure an embodiment of intelligence and perception, of intuition and fastidiousness.
Oh, go right in.
I think Mr. Hodge is engaged.
Shouldn't be surprised. Go right in.
Well, the real question...
I had prepared myself for questions about Shakespeare, or worse, Milton. But what the great man actually asked was...
Whether you play cricket? Cricket?
A game, played with dice and guns.
Shut up, will you? Do you play cricket, Mr. Cameron?
I used to play years ago.
Splendid, you're just the man I'm looking for. I'm raising a side to play a village in Sussex Saturday week.
But I haven't played for ages.
Oh, that doesn't matter two straws. A bus will be at the Covent Garden Underground Station at 10:15. Do you bat or bowl?
Not really either.
Splendid.
I was surprised to find myself the following Saturday morning, arriving at the rendezvous carrying a small attaché case full of clothes suitable for outdoor sports and pastime. I was glad I had arrived too early, for it would have been a dreadful thing for a stranger, and a foreigner at that, to have kept such a distinguished man and his presumably distinguished colleague, even for an instant, from what was, after all, a national game.
Do you play? Yes.
Keep an eye on that, will you, like a good fellow? I'm going to get a shade. An hour later, there was quite a respectable muster. Until the arrival of Rupert Harcourt.
Gentlemen, I've been doing some research. Apparently, in the neighbourhood of Covent Garden, the pub's open at 11 a.m.
So the situation, apart from the equipment, was exactly as it had been an hour and a half before, when the great man arrived.
Well, what are they? Actually, no sense of time. The match starts at 11:30 and it's 50 miles from here.
Mr. Harcourt said something about the pubs around here opening at 11.
Oh, God. I should have been here myself 2 hours ago, but had the Sunday article to do. Bring the baggage.
How kind of you to write like that.
I know. That's made it, huh?
The Charabanc hasn't arrived.
What?
Oh, no.
Can you leave it? Tap this for a phone. Another reminder. Come on. Thank you. My good man, I distinctly said it was the match that began at 11:30. Well, in the name of all that's holy, what do you say? Let's go! Come on!
You ready, Mr. Hodge?
There are 2 missing.
What are you going to do with an hour late now?
We'll sort it out when we get there.
The usual, Mr. Hodge.
And so, 10 minutes after the match was due to start on a ground 50 miles away, our Charabanc finally rolled away.
Erect, Maman, or Pacifier?
Sorry.
I was asking to which branch of Clan Cameron you belong.
I don't know.
The poor Highlander that doesn't know his own chieftain.
We have no chieftain. Lockheed's our chieftain.
All right, Mr. Cameron. I'm not so guide you know as to ask questions that needn't be answered. You do know what guide means?
No.
Where did you say you were from, Mr. Cameron? Congregation might notice the difference in the singing before her arrival and after. Interesting reading, Professor.
It's a PhD thesis by one of my students. The ballistic implications of the new diameter cricket ball, as recommended by the MCC. I thought this might be a useful occasion for me to verify his conclusions.
Mr. Hodge, it's another half hour from here to the Angel, Mr. Hodge.
What do you expect me to do about that? I didn't draw up the ordnance survey maps, my good fellow.
And it's another half hour from there to Croydon.
What are you asking me, Mr. Baggins?
Shall I get another round of drinks in, Mr. Hodge?
Good man.
I was enchanted by my first sight of rural England, and rural England is the real England, unspoilt by factories and financiers, tourists and hustle. The entire scene was perfect to the last detail. As I stepped from the bus, I remember thinking how familiar the setting seemed, until I realized that the men standing outside the barley mow were my companions from the bus, already sampling the local brew.
Mr. Hodge. Oh, hello, Vicar. How are you? You're a bit late, I'm afraid. That's the problem with professional men, always attitude.
It's very nice to see you again.
I wanted to point out this year's captain. We have rather a tricky problem.
Oh, dear. What's that?
We've only got 9 men.
No, look. We filled 11 men on each side. Only, what is it?
If you lend us 2 men, we can field 11. To make it fair, only 9 men.
9 men, that on each side. Well, that's fair, isn't it?
So we field for both sides, and we bat for neither. And he calls that fair.
It's ridiculous. Well, there won't be no game if we don't, will there?
Well, there won't be no game for us if we do, will there? Come on, let's go home. You won't voted him for this sort of captain, in Sam Snow? Damn. Donald, go and ask the driver if he'd like to play.
Let's have another drink.
Quarter 7. I don't know why yet.
I'm 2 men light now.
Thank God. I'm up to 11 now.
I'm terribly sorry I'm late, Bill.
12.
Mr. Hodge? I'll play if you want me to, but I'm not very good.
13.
The taxi driver says, since it's such a nice day and it'll take him a couple of hours to get back, if you're short of a 12th man, he wouldn't mind a game.
And I'm down to 9 men. Not mention a whole heap of trouble at next week's committee meeting.
Negotiations were reopened, the pair of local Achilles were recalled, the numbers being settled on a 12-side basis, and Mr. Hodge and the village captain walked out to inspect the wicket and toss up. That summer, the great poet was using a system of his own based on wind forces, the differential calculus, and the Copernican theory. And so, at 10 to 3, he was able to send in his opening pair.
Heads on, Boone. We're batting up. Oh. We'll show them what we're made of, eh?
Dinner, Livingston, baby. Thank you very much.
Of our opening pair, one was a huge, awe-inspiring colossus of a man weighing at least 18.5 stone and wearing all the majestic trappings of a Cambridge bull. The other was a very sound club cricketer. I felt it was hardly fair to loose such cracks upon a humble village side until I remembered that I, of all people, a foreigner admitted by courtesy to the national game, ought not to set myself up to be a judge of what was and what was not cricket.
Tap middle. Play.
It so happened that at the end at which the blacksmith was to bowl, the ground behind the wicket was level for a few yards and then sloped away rather abruptly.
Do they have a bowler?
So that it was only during the last 3 or 4 galvanic yards of his run that the blacksmith, who took a long run, was visible to the batsman, or indeed to anyone in the field of play.
Look out!
The kinetic energy of a cannonball travelling at that velocity would wipe out an entire cricket team.
Round a bit, George. Get them back a bit. Look back. Yeah, that's it, that's it. Right. There.
My God, he's a size, isn't he?
Stereo! 6!
Out.
The match had begun in earnest.
Sorry, Bill.
What's it like?
Fast.
Hasn't got his eye in yet. He's got his eye in all right now.
Rupert, you're in.
Oh, splendid. Don't go. Say you're ill.
No.
Put your faith in me, Bill. Your ball, I think.
I thought he was a Blue.
Yes, he stroked Cambridge just after the war.
Four runs for 3 wickets and 1 man out. The next player presented a singular appearance. There was a retiring modesty about him that made him conspicuous in that cricket 11, and there was a gentleness, an almost finicky gentleness about his movements, which hardly seemed virile and athletic.
Who's he?
That's Bobby Southcott.
Wonderful to meet someone who's never heard of Bobby Southcott.
He's a novelist, not so much distinguished as wealthy.
Take carefully, Bobby. Keep her run up. Runs don't matter.
Very well, Bill.
I was interested by this little exchange. It was the team spirit at work. The captain instructing his men to play a type of game that was demanded by the state of the team's fortunes, and the individual loyally suppressing his instincts to play a different type of game.
Prettily played, Bobby.
Things were going much better for us. The 50 was up, the blacksmith was pounding away, and Mr. Southcott continued to treat with apologetic contempt those of his deliveries that came within reach. Until an unfortunate accident occurred.
I'm awfully sorry, Rupert. Could you take over umpiring for a while? There's no one else.
Now, Mr. Harcourt, sober, had a very pleasant sense of humour, but Mr. Harcourt, drunk, was a perfect demon of impatience. Sober, he occasionally resisted the temptation to try to be funny. Rather drunk, never.
Play.
No ball!
Mr. Harcourt did not think the world had ever been, or could ever be again, quite such a capital place.
You needn't play safe anymore, Bob. Play your own game.
Thank you, Bill.
Out!
The score at this point was 62 for 6. Last man 50.
Let's go, Bobby, baby.
The only other incident of the innings was provided by an American journalist, an intensely active, alert, on-the-spot young man. He had been roped in at the last moment to make up the 11, and Mr. Hodge and Mr. Harcourt had spent quite a lot of time on the way down trying to teach him the fundamental principles of the game.
Let's get the big one for him. Right through the middle.
Don't you want a guard?
Guard? No, sir. You see, I wouldn't know what to do with him if I had him, huh?
Is that so?
Okay, let's go. Put him in there. Ha! Ha! Hey, Bobby! Goddamn.
Baseball's a point of range, isn't it, sir?
Hot dog, goddamn.
None of the remaining batsmen added very much to the total, and indeed Mr. Hodge himself failed to score.
Well bowled.
I was not out naught, and our innings closed, opinions being sharply divided upon the ground as to whether 69 was or was not a winning score. So, poets and ploughmen, writers and rustics, famous and humble, we all sat down to tea.
Matter of strategy. I thought it best to let them get in as soon as possible, and I think we'll have the likely.
You're doing us proud here in Portsmouth. No, never mind that.
Dear God,
Who are they?
it's the house party from Ormerod Towers.
Do you know any of them?
I think one of them's that young film actress.
She's beautiful.
Rupert! You darling rascal! Have we missed it?
No, Perugia!
For God's sake, let us be. A Perugia Gorkwa to execrable Lady Novel.
Terribly unspoiled, isn't it? Rather boring, really.
What a damn dull party. Ah, Esmeralda. And how are the lovers?
still going strong?
Grizzly.
Well, if I'm grizzly, you're bear, and that makes it fair. Shall we dance? Well, what kind of a party is this? Are we up-to-date moderns, mixing gin and beer and wallowing in T.S. Eliot? Or are we simple boys and girls together, popping in and out of each other's bedrooms from time to time?
We're an ordinary English weekend party, sir.
Oh, come, General, we want none of your barrack-room licentiousness here.
What the devil do you mean?
Well, I don't know what kind of chivalry they teach at Sandhurst, or Colville Secondary School, or Woolwich, or Borstal, but to a simple Giggles Wickian, a woman is sacred.
Whatever for?
I can't remember, but they used to tell us. Ah, General, I hear we're to move out of India at last.
Oh, nonsense.
Oh, no, it's absolutely true. Although, of course, it hasn't been officially announced yet. The Indian civil service is to be abolished, and no Englishman is to hold higher rank in the army than colour sergeant, and the word Saab is to be forbidden.
Oh, I agree profoundly. The Liberals are insane. It would be hard put to it to convince me that they're treacherous as well. You know, you really must be unhinged to imagine for one moment that we would gain anything from getting cheap wheat from the Russians. You get an idea, I do.
Why Sierra Leone?
The trouble with Russia is there's no cricket there. Well, of course, the role of the publisher does get more and more difficult.
Of course, one has to admit, these days, one is slightly under the thumb of Virginia Woolf. Not to mention James Joyce.
Then let's not.
But don't you feel them about you all the time? An aura?
No, not really. And that is not unless they've arrived since the last innings. Then you must point them out.
I can never see the point in attacking the public school system. Oh, it has its drawbacks, of course, like everything else. But its advantages are so overwhelming that people who attack it are merely stamping themselves as fools.
Public school is the breeding ground of great men. Not necessarily the public school types.
Damn good show, the public school. Those privately educated oiks are a pretty grisly set of oiks. Grocers' sons and oiks and whatnot.
My father was a grocer.
I'm not surprised to hear it.
Rupert, you told me all your family were soldiers.
Only those not clever enough to be taken into the grocery business.
Well, in America, everyone's clever enough to get in the grocery business.
That's why you've got no army.
United States Army won the war.
Oh, Mr. Pollock means the Civil War of 1861.
United States Army?
It's the best in the world. The United States Navy's the best in the world.
And the trees in California are the tallest in the world.
Right.
And the climate is the best in the world.
Right
And
again.
the public laboratories are the biggest in the world.
Thanks, Al.
You're wasting your butterfly eyes on that one, my dear.
Why?
Spends most of his life in Hollywood.
You mean some pictures?
Absolute mogul.
I adore filmmaking. What an extraordinary game it is, isn't it?
Sorry?
Cricket, do you understand it?
No, I'm afraid I don't.
But you're playing, aren't you?
Yes I am. I've never played before. I was asked.
You're wearing such nice clothes.
I borrowed them from a friend.
Really? They suit you. You look very nice.
Thank you.
Don't, my dear.
Don't what?
Fall in love with her.
I'm not going to fall in love with her. Why not?
She's I. Beautiful form, perfectly shaped, but I. An ice cream Sunday, or Monday, or Tuesday, or any other day of the week come to that.
I really don't know what you mean. I really have no intention of anything like that. I mean, I don't even know her.
Yes, but hope or hopelessness springs eternally in the human birthright. You have to admit that Esmeralda's breast spring more hopefully than most. From out the breast that gives the rose shall I with shuddering fall. The George Meredith. And they will turn your tears to ice, my dear, or your eyes to tears. Anyway, it was now our turn to field, and Mr. Hodge led out his men.
8, 9...
Those, that is, that he could find.
Oh, for God's sake, who is it this time?
Ready when you are, gentlemen.
Come on, hurry up now. We're losing the light.
We're moving as fast as we can, my dear.
Strong arm, Hawker.
Indeed.
Got 3 slips. Donald, Professor Livingston. Oh, Pollock, Boone. Very good. Bobby, would you move round a bit? That's right. More. More. That's it. Rupert! All right. Good. I think so. Now, bases are up. Right. In position. Fingers extended. Right. Right. Good.
The redoubtable Major Hawker, our fast bowler, thrust out his chin and prepared to bow.
Out. 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 Out.
After a quarter of an hour, he had terrified 7 batsmen, clean bowled 6 and broken a stump. 10 runs, 6 wickets, last man 2. But after the fall of the 6th wicket, there was a slight delay.
Where's Hawker? Where's Hawker? Quick, hurry! Run, for God's sake, the pub! Bob! Boom! Percy! Let's go get him!
But they were too late. The gallant Major, admitted by the proprietor through the back door, had already lowered a quart and a half of mild and bitter. The score mounted steadily. Disaster followed disaster. With only 15 runs needed, things were desperate.
I think I'll put myself on.
every time. The team drooped. But they were wrong. For a crucial change in the match now occurred. It happened like this. Mr. Hodge was a poet, and therefore a theorist and an idealist. He preferred to win by brains and not by muscle. He had recently been introduced to what is technically known as the in-swinger. Accordingly, he placed all his men on the leg side. But thereupon he ran into trouble, for his first ball was a slow long hop delivered some 2 or 3 feet outside the off stump.
Get it down! Come on! Come on!
Rupert, are you playing or aren't you? Come back on the field.
15 to win and 4 wickets to fall.
I want everybody in.
The next batsman was a schoolboy of about 16, an ingenuous youth with pink cheeks and a nervous smile, who quickly fell victim to Mr. Hodge.
Right.
Run! Run! Mine! Mine! Run!
15 to win and 3 wickets to fall.
Bad luck.
No! Mine!
Out!
What do you mean out? He kicked it!
You're out.
But he kicked it!
You're out.
I won!
Come on, you're out.
You wait till I see you at the committee meeting on Wednesday. Ambition's poisoned your mind. Come on, you're out. Let's go.
15 runs to win and 2 wickets to fall.
Most unfortunate. I was bowling today.
I had plenty of time to use my hands, but I preferred to kick it.
I was impressed by the extraordinary subtlety of the game. At 6 o'clock, the crisis was now desperate. The score had mounted steadily until at last the teams were level. The front door of the Barley Mow was now as wide open officially as the back door had been all afternoon. Mr. Hodge brought back Major Hawker, who by now had somewhat lived down the quart and a half.
Only 2 more wickets.
All right. Come on.
The scores were level, and there was 1 wicket to fall.
Well done. Marvellous catch.
I didn't want to catch the bloody thing.
But it may have saved the side.
Oh, blast the bloody side.
Houston, deeper. Bobby, deeper. Pollock, further out.
Come on, Joe! Come on!
Yours, if you do. Yours, Bobby.
time.
After that, there was nothing left to do but for both teams to shake hands, both claiming the result as a smashing victory for their respective skills, both emphasizing the cleanliness and true British sportsmanship of the contest, and for both teams to retire to the Barley Knoll